Rahubat, Rahubat. Welcome to the Horus Hour, the storytelling show that tells stories for entertainment purposes only. Even if they're true, they're for entertainment purposes only. They're to entertain you, okay? So let's get started. First, I want to welcome you to the new year, okay? And for the new year, this 2026, I got a new slogan, okay? And that slogan is religion never, Wu-Sabat forever, okay? We need to learn how to think correctly, use our knowledge, okay? Right sense, okay? Sound, right reasoning, and learn how to unite, learn how to love yourself, okay? Because that's the only way you can show love to somebody else. You have to learn to love yourself first, okay? There is no other way, okay? If you don't love yourself, you can't love somebody else. And if, somebody has a lot of pain and hurt in their heart, guess what they're going to give you, okay? Because pain just creates more pain. That's what they're going to give you. So if somebody hasn't healed themselves, guess what's going to happen? You're going to receive all the pain they've been holding in, okay? Sometimes they don't mean to do it on purpose, but that's just what happens, okay? That's just what happens. That's just the way life goes, all right? Now, if you use religion, okay, as the guide and using one of those holy Bibles or Bibles, okay, then you've been misled, okay, because all of the religions are fake, okay? Now, we have one man that has come to this planet from the planet Risk to give us the right knowledge, okay? 76 trillion years of right knowledge and information, the truth, okay? The master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, 76 trillion years of knowledge and information, the man from planet Risk. He goes by many names. Tra, Pa Naba Yanun, the master teacher, the one and only master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, okay, teaching us the right knowledge. Wu-Sabat, Nuwapu, okay. Right now, right now, he's been in prison, been falsely accused of crimes he did not commit. He is 100% innocent. 100% innocent, okay? And for bringing us the right knowledge and information and to basically bring a positive change to the world, okay, with this information, all right? He's the only one that's teaching Wu-Sabat, okay? And Wu-Sabat is not a religion, okay? It's a culture, okay? The laws of natural nature, Maya. It's not a belief system like your religion, okay? Your religion is going by what they believe, okay? Your preacher is preaching to you, okay? The master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, is a teacher, okay? With 76 trillion years of knowledge, okay? So that is what the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, is bringing us, right? And so bringing this information to the world wasn't ready for it. So they made up false accusations to suppress the knowledge and information that he was bringing, okay? He was talking about, aliens and, UFOs and, at the time he was bringing in this knowledge, they were saying that the UFOs didn't exist, okay? He's talking about beings from other planets and all this stuff and telling everybody that the religion is fake, okay? It's not real and giving us the true knowledge. So they had to put a stop to that, okay? But you can see at this time, people are waking up and they're realizing that, hey, Jesus ain't coming to save me, okay? People are starting to realize that, okay? They're starting to realize they're going to have to save themselves, okay? It's real simple. You're going to have to learn to save yourself, okay? You're going to have to learn to love yourself, okay? So you can't live like a 6 ether being if you're a 9 ether being, okay? You have to live the correct way according to the laws of nature. That's it, all right? We don't eat meat, okay? Why in the heck would you participate in the slaughter of another being, okay? These animals have feelings, okay? They have a heartbeat. They have children. You're not going to like it when these aliens come down to eat you, are you? You probably think that they're not going to come down here to eat you, okay? You didn't know that was going to be your karma, okay? You think it's okay to eat chicken? You think it's okay to eat beef, okay? These higher beings going to think it's okay to eat you. It's real simple, all right? What goes around comes around. And if you think that's not going to happen to you, well, it's time for you to wake up, okay? Anyway, it's time to wake up and get the right knowledge, okay? If you want to go to a channel that teaches Wu-Sabat, check out OSM Vision. Check out Sequin. Now, he's a student teacher of the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York. Check him out on OSM Vision. Very knowledgeable, very wise, okay? And he's teaching the right knowledge. He's teaching Wu-Sabat, the truth, okay? He says, ask us anything, okay? That's what they say on OSM Vision. Our souls matter. Ask us anything, okay? Why can you ask him anything? Because he's getting the teachings from the master teacher himself, okay? The one and only grand master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, okay? So you want to get the right knowledge? You're going to have to check him out. Okay, so what story am I going to tell today? Let me see. Maybe I'll talk about uniting, okay? Because people in this world don't think that the higher powers are trying to make false narratives just to divide the masses, okay? Because, look, if you put all your religion aside, okay, and people started uniting, okay? Forget religion, forget race, forget politics, forget all of that, and just unite as humans, okay? Human beings wanting to live a better life, okay? Hey, this world would be a better place, okay? So if you followed the teachings of the master teacher, that's the way life would be, because no one would have a religion, okay? Everyone would be responsible for themselves, okay? Everyone would learn how to use their own noggin, all right? So, yeah, here I got a book here, teach you how to use your noggin. It's actual facts too, all right? Teach you how to use your brain. So, anyway, this story is about when I was, let me see how old was I. I was very young. I was about, 18? Yeah, I was 18. When I met this girl, I was 18 years old, okay? And she told me that she told me that she was actually, she told me she was black. And she said her mother was from Hawaii. That's what she told me. And anyway, every time I went to visit this girl, she told me I had to park down the street. I was parking so far back. I was parking maybe, 2 blocks. I couldn't even park on the same street. I was parking on a whole different block. Okay. And when I went over to her to pick her up one time, I heard her arguing with her grandfather, and they're speaking in Spanish. Okay. At the time, I didn't even know she spoke Spanish. Okay. And anyway, she was Latin. Okay. But she told me she was black. Anyway, so she's arguing with her grandfather. They're going back and forth. Okay. And she says in English, I don't care what you say. I love him and I'm going to marry him. And he said something, and he was talking in Spanish, and then he said, kill chocolate. And then I can hear the shotgun, sound of the shotgun pump. And when I heard that, I just took off running. Okay. So I ran real fast as I could. Anyway, call her at the grocery store. And, she told me he had a shotgun, but he wasn't going to do anything with it. And I'm like, man, don't be edging him on. No. To me, he ain't going to do nothing with it. But she talked me into coming back. Wait till he fall asleep. And, she going to tell me her kitty cat's wet. And I was like, okay, I'm coming back. All right. I was brave. Okay. Shotgun. Well, that wasn't going to stop me from getting a wet kitty cat. So anyway, me and this girl end up hooking up. Okay. And never met anybody in her family except her oldest brother. And the first day I met him was when we decided to move in together. Okay. So I was like 19. Okay. Look, I was 19, and guess how old she was? 15. Okay. I was 19 and she was 15, right? Which I thought she was 18. Okay. And that's why one of her brothers kept laughing at me and talking about I didn't know how old she was. But I thought that was the reason her parents didn't like me. Okay. That's what I thought at first. Anyway, when I met her brother, her oldest brother, I was walking up the stairs to the apartment that we had just got. Now, mind you, she got the apartment, okay? I just gave her the money and stuff and told her, hey, you got to, to go find a place for us to stay. And yeah, I don't know how she did it. Yeah, she's 15 years old and she did this, okay? 15 years old with a baby, okay? Not mine, okay? Let's get that straight, okay? Even though she lied to me and showed me a fake ID, all right? So anyway, we living in this I come up to this apartment, I hear both of them talking, and she's talking in Spanish. Okay, and he talking in Spanish. And like I said at the time, I didn't even know she spoke Spanish. Okay. She would never speak Spanish in front of me. Okay, until that time I heard her speaking to, talking to her grandfather. Okay. Anyway, so he's looking at me like he was mad. He jumps up like he's finna, like he about to get up and box, talking about what you doing here. And I'm like, what I'm doing here? I'm like looking around. I see a few of my things around. I said, don't we live here? And he was saying something like, who are you? Like that, right? And so when he was talking, the baby, he's 8 months at this time. The baby's 8 months. And the baby starts crawling over to me. Okay. So I pick him up and the baby's just holding on to me. And he's like, whose baby is this? And I said, this is my baby. And he said, I'm going to ask you one more time because I'm looking at you and I'm looking at this baby. Whose baby is this? I said, man, this is my baby. And he said, did she tell you that? I said, no, she didn't tell me that. I said, I know he's not my son. I said, but since I'm raising him, I'm taking care of him, I'm treating him like he's my son. Okay. So I'm not going to treat him no different. Like he's somebody else's. I'm going to treat him like he's my son. And then he goes, okay, okay. So he tells his sister to come get the baby. And when she comes to try to get the baby says, oh, and it's like pulling away. And then he goes, why the baby won't go to his own mama? And I'm like, I don't know. And so she goes, maybe he's sleeping. He said, if the baby's sleeping, go put him to bed. And she goes, come here, baby. And he goes, no, and starts crying, like, no. And he's just like holding on to me, won't let me go, right? And he says, you know, that's a Latino baby boy. They always go to the mama. And I'm just shrugging my shoulders, like, and then he starts asking me what my name is and all that stuff. And then he starts saying, nah, you Horus. That's what he tells me. Nah. You Horus. But at that time, I had no idea what he was talking about. And then he tells me, you will never meet my mama and my papa. They won't understand. He said, but I trust you more than anybody I trust in my family. So I'm going to take you and I'm going to introduce you to the rest of my family. And so I say, oh. So he takes me to meet his wife and his kids. And then he takes me to go to this where his workers are, his workers. And he gives me when we get there, he has a key around his neck. He takes the key off. He gives it to me. These guys come out. It's just a storage place. These guys just come out of nowhere. And he tells them who I am. Says, if you see him here, this is my brother-in-law, go through the whole formalities and stuff like that. Takes me into this place and opens it up, and it's just money and 2 counting machines. And like, he tells me one side of stacked up, he said, don't touch it, okay? Because he don't know how much money it is, and it was too much to count. And he needs somebody, his wife is the one who helps him count the money. On the other side, he told me, take however much money I want. That's his play money. And he said, it looks a little short right now, but it's usually the whole wall is full and it's stacked up. He said, just come and take whatever you want, and just don't tell my sister where it is. And I'm just looking like, I'm just in a maze, and she's giving me a key to this place and telling me, come get all of this money whenever I want and all this stuff. And I'm just looking like, wow, And then I'm looking at these counting machines, and it was my first time ever seeing those counting machines. And, he's like, you never seen a counting machine? I'm like, nah. He goes, takes a handful of money, and he just drops it in there, and it starts going real fast. He said, do you know how many kilos that is a day? Now I'm like shaking my head, and I go, what's a kilo? And then he just starts shaking his head. You paramedic, you don't know what a kilo is? And I'm telling him, no, I don't know what a kilo is. But anyway, he tells me, oh, it's measurements and all this crap. Okay, so I just put the key in my pocket, and then he takes some more money. He puts it in the envelope, and he puts it in his pocket. All right, now he takes me to go see this guy. He tells me his name is Furman, okay? He goes, oh, I have a friend that's, I have to make the payoff to him at this cafe. and I come make this payoff every month. And I want you to meet this guy because if I'm not able to make the payoff, because I'm in Miami a lot, if I can't come, you the only one that can come and do the payoff. And I was like, no, no, not me. And then anyway, he starts laughing, but then he tells me, well, come on, I want you to meet this guy anyway. So we go in there, and this dude's name is, I'll say Mark Sherman. Okay, I'll say that for all intents and all purposes. And, for this is entertainment purposes only. Okay, so this dude, I'm sitting right close to this dude, talking to this dude, this detective, okay, and I'm talking to this detective, but I'm telling him, no, I'm not showing up. Nah, you ain't gonna be able to count on me. I'm telling them that stuff, and then that was it. I'm like, hey, this is the last time you're gonna see me. You'll never see me. I'm not. No, I didn't want to get involved in that stuff, right? And my brother-in-law was like, it's okay, it's okay. He's saying like, just in case, like that. And I'm like, no, 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 I didn't want no parts of it. Okay. But anyway, he told me to keep the key. The key is yours. You keep the key. Okay. So anyway, we leave there. Okay. So I don't talk to her brother for, a long time, a while. And me and his sister break up. Okay. Make a long story short, right? She was out every weekend, okay, for 3 months, lying to me, telling me she was at Yolanda's house. And yeah, this went on for 3 months. So even when I'm talking, it's like the whole lying stories and stuff like that. Anyway, so I don't see him for a while. Okay. Next thing I know, he's calling me, talking about time for you to go meet my mama and papa. And I'm like, how you? I thought he was in Miami. Okay. And he's talking, he's coming in loud and clear. I'm like, where are you? And he's like, I'm standing at the front door. Now, this is before cell phones. They didn't even have cell phones then. Well, as a matter of fact, at that time, this was when AT&T put out their first 100 cell phones, and they said they were supposed to be used as, testing these. Okay, so only 100 of these phones in America. Okay, and he's got one. Okay, so yeah, he was like that. So anyway, he's telling me it's time to go get his mama and papa. So I said, I thought you said I ain't gonna never see your mama and papa unless I'm going to the funeral. Did somebody die? And he said no. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to my own funeral. And I just start crying. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to my own funeral. He's like, what's the matter with you? I'm like, man, I'm sorry. Okay. I said, me and your sister not together no more. Okay, because I slapped her. Okay, and I slapped her real hard. Okay, and I was like, you ain't got to worry about that. He said, man, that's not why they want to see you. He said, nobody's mad at you like that. And he's like, come on, they want to meet you. Now, I ain't seen his parents. It's been 3 years. And I haven't seen his parents at all. Okay, in 3 years. Okay, so anyway, I hop in the car, we drive over there, and as soon as we get there, when I get out the car and start walking up to the door, my son just sees me and he's just running, daddy, 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 daddy. He's running, he jumps on me, he's licking me and all this stuff, and I'm like, man, why are you licking me? And he said, they said you chocolate. And then he bites me on my shoulder. I'm like, I'm not a candy bar. I'm not a candy bar. And then he's just laughing and laughing. And, you know, his mom comes out and says, you know, do you know who I am? I was like, yeah, you grandmother. And she's like, no, I'm the grandmama. I'm the grandmother. Okay. I got 20. She said, I got 22 grandkids. Okay. And I take care of all of them. Okay. This the only one that sit by the front door and cry for 5 days. I'm like, what? She goes, no, baby. He cried for 5 days straight. Okay. She said, I can't keep him away. I can't get him away from the door. She said, the only way I could get him away from the door is I had to sleep in this chair. I had to hold him in my arms and sit with him in this chair. And she said, the only reason I called you is because I can't sleep in this, sitting in this chair no more. Okay. My back was killing me. But my daughter say you a bad man. So I say, I call the bad man, okay? That's why I call my son, okay? I know he's the bad man, okay? But when I call him, he say, you know bad man. He tell me, you Horus. And I'm like, what? So she tells me, asks me what happens. So I tell her what happened. My girlfriend at the time was like, start speaking in Spanish. So I had no idea what she was saying. Then she goes in English. Then he slapped me. And when she said that, I was like, yeah, I slapped her like that, you know. And she goes, that's all you do? I'm like, huh? And she says, what hand did you slap her with? How you slap her? And I said, well, I stuck out my right hand. And she goes, oh, with your hand like this? I said, yeah. And she says, good, because I hope you slap her like this. And she slapped her hard, like real hard. And I was like, she slapped her so hard, I screamed. Okay. Now, my girlfriend took it like, she took it like a champ, like, ah. And I was like, and I broke out running. Okay. And then her brother grabs me and was like, like, where you going, man? And I'm telling him, please don't let your mama beat me up, man. I'm sorry. I said I was sorry. And he's like, man, she's not mad at you, okay? They was mad at her for lying on me, okay? For telling all those lies on me. And she said that, hey, her other brothers, because she got 8 brothers. And she said her other brothers were out to hurt me. Okay. And what if the police would have got me first? Okay. The police would have took me to jail. And then she said, we not finna play stupid. Okay. We know what happened to young men when they go to jail. Okay. They come out. They don't want to be men no more. Okay. So we not gonna play that. You don't send an innocent man to jail. Okay. That's what her mother said. So I was like, okay. And that was why she slapped her. All right. So anyway, her mother was like, the baby, uh, we wanted the baby to go to bed. So I was like, that's all you had to do was tell the baby, that I'll be here in the morning and he'll go to sleep. And she was like, huh? And I go, hey, son, your grandmother wants you to take a nap. And I said, but if you take a nap, I'll be standing right here when you wake up. And then he goes, okay, jumps down, grabs his mother's hand and says, come on, mommy, goes to the bedroom, turns around and goes, night, night, everybody, and go get in the bed. Then the mother went in there, saw he was asleep and all this, you know. That's what happened. The mother saw he was asleep. That's when she came back out and slapped my girlfriend. And then after that, she cooked dinner for me. She cooked a noodle, okay, made it from scratch, all this stuff. Most of it anyway. She said they had it, some left over from the Friday, because they cook on Fridays, because they were 7-day Adventists and they didn't cook on Saturdays. So, but anyway, but for that day, she made me the noodles. And yes, it was delicious. Okay. But anyway, yeah, old school Latino making some noodle from scratch, picking vegetables out of the garden. Man, okay, delicioso. Okay, and so anyway, she told me that was the first time a black man had ever came over to their house. She said a black person ain't never been inside their house. About a year later, about a year after that, we ended up getting married. And the same grandfather that put the shotgun on me, okay, he was at the wedding too. Okay, sitting up there in the front. All right. So, and that's when, that's why I said, united, they had never accepted a black person into their home. Okay. And they seen that, true love when is expressed. Okay. Because she also told me that there's no way she can say that she hate me. Okay. And then love the baby. Okay. How can she hate me and love the baby when the baby loves me? And she knows that I love the baby because of how much the baby loves me. So she said, how can she possibly say that she hate me and then say she loves the baby? That would be impossible. Okay. So that's how that story ends. So it's like, okay, people need to start realizing this whole color thing, and you black and you white and you Latin and you Mexican and you this and you African and you all this division. Okay, we need to cut all that stuff out. All right, and live as humans. Okay, you get the point. Live as human beings unite. One. Okay, and cut out all the racism, colorism, and all that stuff, all the division, anything that divides, okay? Anything that divides you, hey, let's make this a new year to cut that out, okay? Peace, wadu.